Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and the shooting and death of Jayland Walker. Some of you may know there was a young man by the name of Jayland Walker in Akron, Ohio, who was shot uh, sadly and killed on June 27th, 2022. My understanding is that the police had shot him. He had attempted to flee the police, and according to reports, it seems like that the police may have misconstrued something he did. It appeared to them that he may have been going for his gun, and he was found unarmed when he was apprehended, and subsequently he died. And the thing was, he had shot. The reports say that he had shot, at least supposedly, attempted a shot at a police officer or police officers, and then he took off in his vehicle. Then I believe it was a foot pursuit. Shortly after that, leaving the car, and they found the magazine, the gun, in the vehicle. Now, it seemed excessive to me because there were a number of rounds, I believe, that were fired at this young man. Now, I'm going to talk about some natal placements, transits in his chart that might have been tied into this horrific event. And first, I want to just start off with this by saying that my prayers and condolences go out to the close friends and family members of Jayland Brown. I got the birth information. I don't have the time of birth. Of course, I had to improvise once again and do a solar slash sunrise chart in which I put the sun at the same spot as the ascendant. Now, the thing about this is the birth date I got was from mylife.com, and it's July 20th, 1996. It's what I got. A sun in Cancer, of course. His moon is in Virgo. That combination right there, somewhat introverted. Moon in Virgo can be very reticent, humble. The sun in Cancer is not really a sign that really you would think would be combative or confrontational, but it's the thing is when it's a matter of protection. Sometimes Cancerians can become a little bit more combative in those situations when it is a matter of protection involved. The thing, one natal placement that stands out to me. This is based on the solar sunrise time, of course. Is that okay? He has his Mars in Gemini, and it falls in the 12th house in the solar slash sunrise chart. It's really impulsive actions. Right there. The Mars in the 12th house by itself can indicate that impulsive actions can be the self-undoing. Mars in Gemini can be excitable, high-strung, restless, a lot of energy into just general spending a lot of energy in mobility. It's interesting because that Mars in Gemini makes a tight inconjunct aspect to his natal Neptune in Capricorn. And inconjuncts in astrology can be about adjustments. It can be too much of one thing or another. And when you talk about Mars, it's about energy being expended, actions. Neptune can be about surrendering. So in this case, it might have been too much, just energy sadly expended in mobility, and not enough really that focus on maybe surrendering, and being Neptune and Capricorn, surrendering to authority. So that is one, I think that's very critical as far as a natal placement for him, and how this might have been tied in to what was transpiring at this time. And the thing about this is too, the sun may be at 28 degrees depending on Cancer, depending on birth time. It's either 27 or 28 degrees Cancer depending on the time of birth. 28 degrees Cancer, if it's in, that's what it is, that Sabian symbols. That could be where sometimes, there might be, there's greater propensity for perilous, events that might impact one's life. And the sun, maybe especially when it's the sun in Cancer, because the sun is about life. And the thing about this too, um, it's interesting, when I look at, there's one transit that comes to mind. What he had, now transit Pluto was making a close opposition to his natal sun, at the time, that this transpired. And the sun is about our actions, being in the zodiac sign Cancer, ones that can be protective. And the thing is, and it's going against what you would say, extreme, with actions can be extreme. The fact that you're talking about transit Pluto opposing the sun, actions that were, being in this, having the sun in Cancer, ones that are protective, but ones that might have been a little bit extreme. And it involved, Pluto being in Capricorn, transit Pluto in Capricorn. Capricorn is connected with authority, but it also shows that those same, the Pluto and Capricorn, could be powerful. Power and authority is how I think that can manifest. And though generational, those people being adversarial and in opposition to him, who he actually is, the basic character, which is the sun in Cancer in this case. Now, and the thing about this is too, what's sad as well is that, when I look at, other transits that he had, another transit that stands out is that transit Pluto was making a conjunction to his natal Neptune. And that can manifest in a number of ways. That could be, Pluto is about death, and that could be a death, in this case, while trying to escape. Neptune is about escapism, about trying to escape someone in authority. And the thing, and also too, another thing is that this could also be, a death. The fact that he has Neptune retrograde, it's a death perhaps due to failure to surrender. And unfortunately, whether you feel, people out there feel that his death was justified or not, the fact remains though, if he did surrender, this, I wouldn't even be doing this video at this point in time. It just, the thing about, this is, again, it's a terrible tragedy. You hear these shootings going on, more and more. And I'm wondering if it has something to do with this transit of Pluto and Capricorn, where you're seeing, this strong power, maybe using the, authority people using their power to more of an advantage, taking advantage of it, perhaps, I think as well. And another thing that I noticed too, as far as transits go, this chart that might have been tied into this, what transpired with his death, in the shooting, is that transit Jupiter was making a close conjunction to his natal Saturn. And I've talked about this in previous videos. Jupiter is very strong, paradoxical, it's very benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. In this case, I'm thinking the transit of Jupiter making a conjunction to his natal Saturn may have manifested just in the enlargement of just difficulties in general regarding something that was volatile, that was connected with gunfire and violence. In his natal chart, Jayland, the solar sunrise chart, he has Aquarius on the cusp of the 8th house, which could indicate a death. Of course, that could be very, spontaneous and shocking. It's one, he has one of the rulers of the 8th house, Saturn, making a conjunction to his 10th house, so it's not surprising that the death sadly gains certain notoriety and recognition. Hold on a moment, people. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, and I mean, it's just again, this is just something that was really just something you feel that could have been avoided, and he did, according at least according to one police report, is that at least the perception was, though it was misconstrued, of course, because they found him unarmed, that he was, he had his arm going toward his hip area, which made it appear that he was going for a gun. Now, another thing, when another transit that point out, okay, now the Pluto, I mean, we already got into this Pluto making the conjunction to the natal Neptune in his chart, and but also another thing that comes to mind is that I'm looking to see what other transits are important. We had a transit also of Mars, transit Mars at the time of this shooting and death, was making at least a loose square. I believe it was a loose square to his natal sun in Cancer. And when you have the transit of Mars making an adverse aspect to your natal sun, this could result sometimes in manifest in just general impulsive actions. And you have the Mars being in transit Mars in Aries, which of course is very aggressive. And this is about, could be about one really trying to assert their will, and also where situations can be contentious with people that are in positions of authority. And in this case, this was the police. And another way of looking at that is that Mars is also, I think Mars could have a connection with law enforcement, and those people would be conflicting basically with who he actually is and the person. Again, the sun is the basic character in the chart. Jayland, as far as his basic character and demeanor, having the sun in the zodiac sign Cancer, again, could be just probably one that was very introverted, maybe somewhat timid and passive, a person that was actually, really probably very caring and sympathetic and nurturing, and showed a lot of dedication and devotion. And the thing is, this is just a terrible tragedy, no matter how you look at it, no matter who you think is liable, who is at fault. I think the safe thing that most people will concur and agree on is that the shooting was really excessive. To say the absolute least, that would probably be a vast understatement. And the thing is, it's just one of those situations where where this was a death that seemed like it could have been really could have been avoided. And another thing I'm noticing too is that at this time of the shooting of this death, that in the solar/sunrise chart, that the transit sun in Cancer was transiting the 12th house, and that could suggest the ending of a life. The sun is about life. The 12th house is a house of endings. It's about it's limitations, restrictions. And ironically enough, being the sun in the zodiac sign Cancer, which is his actual sun sign anyway. So it just in the transit Black Moon Lilith was also in the zodiac sign Cancer in the 12th house of endings, and the 12 Black Moon Lilith is connected with trauma and death. It wouldn't mean if he was shot that many times, he probably had there were probably wounds on virtually every part of his body. And the zodiac sign Cancer is associated with chest, chest area, and stomach, ribs. So he probably had, I'm sure he had some wounds in that part of his body. I'm not sure exactly where he had been hit. But when you have that many rounds being fired and some kind of shooting that's really that excessive, he probably had. I'm sure there were marks all over his body, sadly. And it's really not much more for me to say regarding his death than this. And again, not to be redundant with this, but I do want to give my prayers and condolences one more time to the close friends and to the family members of Jayland, I'm sorry, I'm saying, if I say his name right, Jayland Walker is his name. I don't know if I said it properly before. To the close, my prayers and condolences to the close friends and family members of Jayland Walker, and may he be in a better place, at this point in time. So, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.